The music was loud. Laughter echoed through the house I had paid for. Glasses clinked like a celebration of victory. But it wasn't my victory. It was my funeral, without a coffin. My name is Daniel Carter, and that night, my wife threw a party to celebrate divorcing me, and I wasn't supposed to be there. Before I tell you what happened next, I want to know something. Where are you watching from right now? Drop your city or country in the comments. And if you love powerful, emotional stories like this, don't forget to subscribe to Crowned Tales. You don't want to miss what's coming, because this story, it doesn't end the way anyone expected. 3 months earlier, my life looked ordinary, not perfect, not flashy, just quiet. I worked as a logistics coordinator for a mid-sized company. It paid the bills, barely. I drove an old car that coughed every morning like it was begging for retirement. I wore the same rotation of shirts. Nothing about me screamed success. And my wife Vanessa? She hated that. Vanessa wasn't always like that. When we met, she used to laugh at simple things. She loved late-night walks, cheap street food, and dreams that didn't cost money. But somewhere along the line, something changed. Or maybe she just revealed who she really was. It started small. Comments like, "Daniel, don't you think we should be doing more with our lives?" Then it became, "Look at my friends. Their husbands actually achieved something." Then eventually, "I feel like I married beneath my potential." That one stayed with me. I tried. God knows I tried. I worked longer hours, took extra shifts, even started a small side hustle that barely made anything, but nothing I did was enough. Because Vanessa didn't just want stability. She wanted status, and I couldn't give her that. The night she asked for a divorce, it wasn't dramatic. No shouting, no tears, just cold. We sat across from each other at the dining table. She didn't even look at me when she said it. "I think we should end this." Just like that. No explanation, no hesitation. I felt something crack inside me. "Vanessa, where is this coming from?" I asked, trying to stay calm. She sighed, like I was exhausting her. "I've outgrown this life, Daniel. I've outgrown you." That hurt more than anything she had ever said. "You're a good man," she added quickly. "But being good isn't enough anymore." I swallowed hard. "So, that's it? 8 years, and you just walk away?" She finally looked at me, and the look in her eyes, there was no love left. "I want more," she said simply. The divorce process was quick. Too quick. She had already prepared everything. Papers, lawyer, even the division of assets. It was like she had been planning it for months, and I was just catching up. I didn't fight her. I didn't have the strength. Or maybe I didn't have the will. She took the house, most of the furniture, even the car. For weeks I disappeared. No one heard from me. Not friends, not colleagues. Even Vanessa didn't try to contact me, which told me everything I needed to know. I rented a small place on the outskirts of the city. Bare walls, cheap bed, no decorations. It felt like starting from zero. But what no one knew was that I wasn't starting from zero. I was starting from something much deeper, something I had buried for years. You see, Vanessa thought she knew me. Everyone did. The quiet, struggling husband, the man who never made it. But there was one thing I never told her, one truth I kept hidden. Not because I wanted to deceive her, but because I wanted to be loved for who I was, not for what I had. Years ago, before Vanessa came into my life, I walked away from something big, something powerful, something that could have changed everything. My family owned one of the largest private aviation companies in the region. Helicopters, charter jets, corporate contracts. Money wasn't just available, it was endless. But I didn't want that life. I didn't want to be defined by wealth. So I left, changed my name slightly, built a simple life from scratch. And when I met Vanessa, I thought I had found someone who loved that simplicity. I was wrong. The day I signed the final divorce papers, I made a call. One call I hadn't made in years. "Is it still mine?" I asked. There was silence on the other end. Then a familiar voice. "You never stopped being the owner, Daniel." I closed my eyes. "So nothing changed?" "Everything's waiting for you." That's when I knew it was time. 3 months later, Vanessa stood in my house. Well, The house she thought was hers, dressed in a stunning red dress. Hair perfectly styled, makeup flawless. She looked happy. No, she looked victorious. The living room was filled with people, her friends, some mutual acquaintances, even a few people who used to shake my hand and call me brother. Now they laughed at jokes about me. "Good thing you got out," one woman said, sipping champagne. "He was dragging you down." Vanessa smirked. "I stayed longer than I should have." More laughter. A man raised his glass. "To new beginnings and better choices." They all cheered. And then Vanessa stepped forward, holding a microphone. "I just want to say something," she began. The room quieted. She smiled. That same smile I used to think meant warmth. Now it looked different. "I spent years settling for less than I deserved," she said. A few people nodded. "But today, I take my life back." Applause. "I'm done being tied to someone who couldn't match my ambition." Louder applause. "And honestly?" She paused, then laughed lightly. "I should have left sooner." The room erupted. Cheers, laughter, clapping. They were celebrating my humiliation, turning my failure into entertainment. And that's when it happened. At first, it was just a distant sound. Low, rhythmic, almost unnoticeable. But then it grew louder and louder. People started looking around. "What's that noise?" The music stopped. The laughter faded. The sound filled the air now, powerful, undeniable. A helicopter, hovering, right above the house. Confusion spread across the room. Guests stepped outside. Vanessa frowned, clearly irritated. "What is going on?" The wind from the blades whipped through the yard. Hair flying, decorations shaking, glasses rattling. And then, the helicopter began to descend. Right in front of the house, on the open lawn. Dust and debris swirled everywhere. People shielded their faces. Phones came out instantly. Recording. Curious. Excited. The helicopter touched down smoothly. Sleek. Black. Luxury written all over it. The door opened. And for a moment, no one stepped out. The suspense hung in the air. Then, a man in a tailored black suit jumped out first. Security. He scanned the area, then stepped aside. And that's when I stepped out. Silence. Complete silence. Vanessa's eyes locked onto me. At first, confusion. Then disbelief. Then something else. Something colder. "What?" she whispered. I adjusted my cufflinks calmly. Took a few steps forward. Every eye was on me now. The same people who had been laughing now stood frozen. I looked different. Not just in clothes, in presence, in confidence, in power. Because for the first time in years, I wasn't hiding. "Good evening, Vanessa," I said calmly. Her lips parted, but no words came out. Her friends looked between us, completely lost. You, she stuttered. "What is this?" I glanced around the party. The decorations, the drinks, the banner that read, "Freedom Party." I smiled faintly. "Nice party," I said. Her face tightened. "Answer me, Daniel. What is this?" I stepped closer. Close enough for only her to hear my next words. But everyone felt the tension. "I just came to congratulate you," I said softly. Her brows furrowed. "For what?" I held her gaze. "For finally getting what you wanted." She frowned, confused. "What are you talking about?" I leaned in slightly. "For choosing status over loyalty." Her face went pale. And then, before she could respond, another car pulled up behind the helicopter, then another, and another. Luxury vehicles lined up like a silent parade. Doors opened. Men and women in sharp suits stepped out. Executives, assistants, security, all moving with purpose, all heading toward me. Vanessa's breathing quickened. "What is happening?" I straightened my jacket, then turned to face the crowd. "My name," I said clearly, my voice cutting through the silence, "is Daniel Carter." A pause. Then I added, "CEO of Carter Aerospace Group." Gasps, murmurs exploded across the crowd. Phones lifted higher, recording everything. Vanessa staggered back a step. No, that's not possible." I looked at her one last time. Cold, calm, unshaken. "Oh, Vanessa," I said quietly. "You have no idea what you just lost." Her champagne glass slipped from her hand, shattered on the ground, and the look on her face was no longer victory. It was fear, pure, undeniable fear. But what she didn't know yet was that this was just the beginning, and the real story hadn't even started yet. The silence didn't break all at once. It cracked, like glass under pressure. A whisper here, a gasp there, then a flood of murmurs that swallowed the entire yard. Vanessa stood frozen, her chest rising and falling too fast. Her eyes locked on me like she was trying to wake up from a nightmare. But this wasn't a dream. This was the reality she had chosen. No. She shook her head slowly, stepping back. No, this is some kind of joke. Daniel, stop this. I didn't move, didn't blink, didn't soften. Behind me, my team stood in perfect formation, sharp, composed, powerful. The kind of presence that didn't ask for respect. It commanded it. One of the executives stepped forward slightly. Sir, the board meeting is scheduled in 40 minutes, he said respectfully. Sir, that word hit the crowd harder than anything else. Vanessa's friends looked at each other, confusion turning into discomfort. Board meeting? Someone whispered. That helicopter. Is that his? No way. This guy? The same people who laughed minutes ago now looked like they had swallowed their own words. Vanessa turned to them, desperate. Don't just stand there. This is ridiculous, right? She said, forcing a laugh. You all know him. He's just... She stopped, because no one was agreeing. No one was laughing anymore. And for the first time that night, Vanessa looked alone. I took a slow step forward, then another. Every movement measured, controlled. You wanted more, I said calmly. She swallowed. Daniel, I didn't know. You didn't ask, I cut in. That landed hard. I gave you 8 years, I continued. 8 years of loyalty, of patience, of building something real. Her eyes began to glisten. But you didn't want real, I added. You wanted impressive. Tears formed now, but I didn't stop. And the moment you thought I couldn't give you that, I gestured lightly around us. You threw a party. A few guests looked down, ashamed. Others quietly slipped their phones away. The celebration had turned into a courtroom. And Vanessa? She was standing trial. I was wrong, she suddenly blurted, her voice cracking. That shocked everyone, including me a little. She stepped forward quickly, almost stumbling. I made a mistake, okay? I didn't know. If I knew who you really were, I raised my hand slightly. She stopped instantly. That's when she realized something. Something terrifying. It wasn't just that I had power now. It was that I no longer needed her. Exactly, I said quietly. Her face tightened. If you knew, I continued, you would have stayed. She didn't answer. Because she couldn't. That was the truth. Raw, ugly, undeniable. I looked around the crowd one more time. At the people who once shared meals with me, who laughed with me, who now avoided eye contact. Interesting how respect works, I said calmly. It disappears when you think someone has nothing, and returns the moment they have everything. No one spoke. No one dared. Vanessa took another step closer, her voice softer now. Daniel, please, she said. We can fix this. I almost smiled, not out of joy, but disbelief. Fix what? I asked. She hesitated. Our marriage, she whispered. I tilted my head slightly. You already celebrated its death. That hit deeper than anything else. She broke then. Tears slipped down her cheeks, smudging her perfect makeup. I was stupid, she admitted. I was selfish. But we can start over. We can... No, I said. Not loud, not angry, just final. The kind of no that closes doors forever. Behind me, another one of my team members stepped forward. Sir, the legal team is ready whenever you are. I nodded once, then turned back to Vanessa. There's one more thing, I said. She looked up, hope flickering again. Dangerous hope. The house, I continued. Her brows furrowed. What about it? I reached into my jacket and pulled out a small envelope. Handed it to her. She took it slowly, confused. Opened it. Her eyes scanned the paper, then widened. What is this? She whispered. A transfer notice, I said. Her hands trembled. You sold the house? I shook my head slightly. No, I replied. I reclaimed it. The color drained from her face. You, what? I stepped closer, my voice calm but firm. That house was never fully yours, I explained. It was under a holding company. She blinked rapidly, trying to process. And that company? I paused. Belongs to me. The realization hit her like a physical blow. No, no, that's not possible, she muttered. You signed the papers without reading the fine details, I said. You were too focused on leaving. Her knees almost gave out. So, what does this mean? She asked weakly. It means, I said, you have until tomorrow evening to vacate the property. Gasps spread through the remaining guests. Some of them stepped back instinctively, like the ground beneath them wasn't safe anymore. You're kicking me out? She whispered. I met her eyes. You threw me out first. Silence again. But this time, it wasn't tense. It was heavy. Venal. One by one, the guests began to leave. No goodbyes, no laughter, no celebration. Just quiet exits and lowered heads. The party was over. Not because the music stopped, but because the truth had arrived. Vanessa stood there, surrounded by decorations that now looked ridiculous. A Freedom Party banner fluttered weakly in the wind. Irony at its finest. She looked at me one last time, not with pride, not with anger, but with something far worse. Regret. Deep, crushing, irreversible regret. I lost you, she whispered. I didn't answer, because she already knew. I turned and walked back toward the helicopter. Each step felt lighter. Not because I had won, but because I had finally let go of expectations, of illusions, of someone who only loved the idea of me, not the reality. As I stepped inside, I paused briefly. Not to look back, but to reflect. Then I said one last thing without turning around. Next time, Vanessa, choose a person, not their potential. The door closed. The blades began to spin. Wind roared again, louder this time, stronger, final. And as the helicopter lifted into the night sky, I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel revenge. I felt free. Because sometimes losing everything is the only way to discover what truly matters. Months later, the story spread. People talked, speculated, judged, but none of that mattered. What mattered was this. I rebuilt my life on my own terms, not hiding, not pretending, just being exactly who I was meant to be. And this time, I didn't need anyone to validate it. As for Vanessa, she moved out quietly. No more parties, no more noise, just silence, and the echo of a choice she could never undo. If this story made you feel something, then it did its job. And remember, never underestimate someone just because they choose simplicity. Sometimes, that simplicity is a choice, not a limitation.